Billy Guerin, the same thing. Won cups as a player with Jersey and Pittsburgh. Won a cup there in management as well. He's been working with one of the best in Jim Rutherford. So these guys have been there in the office watching trade calls being made trade calls. Both of them are the GMs of their minor league clubs. So I just don't think, I've said this before, and the risk of, I want to move the process along and a risk of always kind of crapping on Fenton. But the one thing I say is he was in front office for 20 years. He should have been much better prepared for this job. So just because he failed, doesn't mean that to me, Craig Leopold should be gun shy to hire another first-year GM just because he didn't have the title next to his name. So I think that Hextall is a great candidate. I think that I do think that Wild fans will be happy with whoever they get. There's no candidate here that's going to check every box, that you want in a GM. But to me, there's a really good pool here. And from everything I'm hearing behind the scenes, because my phone has been just off the hook for 2 weeks now, it's extremely clear that Modano, Maka, and Leopold are absolutely doing their due diligence. They're leaving no stone unturned to learn about these guys. Hockey-wise, personally, what they're like in dealing with people. I mean, that's the one thing that is very clear as a prerequisite for this job, is that you've got to be a good person that's going to get your message apart, have great relationships inside the organization, and that is absolutely a reaction to what they went through the last year with somebody that was very rough around the edges.
I have a lot of follow-ups to that. If anybody here wants to ask questions, now's the time. Come up, grab the mic from Brandon, and we'll wave to you when it's your turn. Don't be shy. We actually do appreciate live questions quite a bit. It livens up the show. So my follow-up's next, but I want to thank Twill and the Edina Galleria, TWILL. You can find all their stuff at twillmn.com. Updated traditional menswear wear that fits your life. I bought a lot of Stenstrom stuff from there. Barber, Brax, Robert Talbot, Peter Millar, great golf stuff, great high-end stuff, casual, comfortable. TwillMN.com, check them out. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Edina Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Brax. A nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Yeah, I've worn the Stenstrom short sleeve shirts every day this week. When I dress up or even just want to look nice at a game or a Lynx game or something, I wear the Stenstrom dress shirts. But really, the Brax pants are the most comfortable I've ever worn. They are more comfortable than jeans. I never thought I'd have anything more comfortable than a broken-in pair of jeans.
And he keeps saying that, Scott, so thank you very much.
Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. It's interesting, as you talked about all these candidates and the mistakes people make. Mike Zimmer, if he hadn't gotten the Vikings job, he was going to stop interviewing for jobs. Mm-hmm. He had interviewed for so many, and he felt like he was just kind of a token, or he was a guy who checked one box. Okay, the veteran defensive guy, we should interview one guy like that. And he finally comes here, and listen, he hadn't won a Super Bowl, but he's certainly a capable coach. And the other guy, Tony Dungy, I covered Tony Dungy in the 90s, and he must have interviewed for 20 jobs before he got his job, and then he won a Super Bowl. He took Tampa Bay to heights they hadn't been to before, and then he won a Super Bowl with the Colts. So just be somebody who's interviewed a lot, that should not be any kind of a disqualifying mark against them. I totally
agree with you. There are some great assistant GMs out there that so far haven't gotten their big breaks. That probably one day somebody's going to give them a shot, and they'll do really well. One's Mike Fuda in L.A. I mean, he's gone for a lot of jobs here, and just from everybody I talked to about him, I mean, just a great guy, great talent evaluator, has done pretty much all inside an organization. At some point, he's probably going to get his break. Bill Zito is another one. It's interesting. Bill Zito is somebody, I reported this yesterday, but Chris Drury, the Wild called on Chris Drury, and the reaction by John Davidson is like, "Are you effing kidding me? Like, it's freaking August 10th, and I'm not giving you Chris Drury right now." And it's sort of the way with Bill Zito, only the opposite. The way I understand with Bill Zito is that He just signed a new contract. They made him associate GM. Basil McRae, coincidentally, is now the assistant GM. Used to play for the North Stars. I think everybody that were North Stars fans a long time ago kind of laugh when people mention Basil McRae because he was such a character of the team. But Bill Zito, former agent, John Madden's agent, actually, coincidentally, I wrote about this the other day, but on like August 5th, 1 year, the Wild were pursuing Mike Modano. Modano chose to go back to the Detroit Red Wings for his final year in the league, and what the Wild do an hour later, they signed John Madden, who was was a really good player in this league for a long, long time, and is now a coach and probably going to be an NHL coach one day. But Bill Zito was his agent, had a lot of guys. Then delved into management, like we've seen Mike Gillis do, like we've seen Brian Lawton do, and is now so respected in Columbus that they made him associate GM. Well, he came for an interview last year, but it was really late in the process. Paul Fenton was the guy. So the Wild called on him again, and Jorma Kekalainen, the way I understand it from sources inside the Wild, is basically like, come on, you talked to him last year. Like, where is he on your pecking order? And Craig wasn't in a position to tell him, look, he's going to be a top candidate. So while they might have denied the Wild's ability to talk to him, I think what's been said to the Wild is like, look, if you want to hire him, if he's going to be your guy, we'll let you talk to him again. But right now, sorry, it's August 10th. Bill Zito also has a lot of family, some real personal issues that his family is dealing with right now, as both his mom and his wife are sick. So it'd be very tough for him to uproot his life at this stage in the game. So the timing just doesn't work there. But these are good hockey guys and are probably going to be GMs one day in this league.
All right. Bill, thanks for coming out. How are you?
Great. I really like 2 Florida references in the first answer.
Yeah. Get used to that if Fitzy or Melamir here.
So the on-ice product, regardless of who the GM they bring in, how is the new GM going to be able to affect the on-ice product? I know you had written it in The Athletic after Fenton was released or let go, that you weren't sure that how Boudreau was going to be able to even put line combinations with the current roster. How's the new GM, regardless of who they bring in, going to be able to affect the on-ice product this year?
Well, initially, no. I mean, there's just no way. There isn't, unless you're bringing guys on PTOs and they're going to make the team, or you're picking up guys on waivers late in the camp. I mean, at this point, it's going to be almost impossible to make player transactions or things like that. But over time, as they analyze the roster and things like that, I think that there's a really good chance that every GM is going to eventually put their mark on the team. But at this stage, it's just impossible. And in terms of what I said about Boudreau, it's not that I don't think he's going to come up with line combinations. It's kind of what I wrote what he said in my Q&A, I think yesterday in The Athletic, is that there's just a lot of players here that play a lot of similar roles, that play their same shot type forwards, that play same positions, and he's going to have to just move around the chess pieces a lot in camp to try to find the right combinations. There's actually that Q&A that I did yesterday. There's a lot to unpack there that we should talk about on this podcast. But he did give some news on that podcast. One is that he's looking at Luke Kunin and Mikko Koivu healthy or not healthy. He's looking at Luke Kunin as being, at least to start camp, the second-line center next to Parise and Fiala. And what's interesting there is that Fiala is now the natural right wing, even though he's not a natural right wing, but he's on that side. But remember, it was only on July 1 where Zach Parise was going to play with Matt Zuccarello, and there you go. It's changed in a month in Bruce Boudreau's head there. The other thing is Koivu. I mean, he might have to suck it up and be on the fourth line here. And as I've said all along, I've jokingly, flippantly said it on the podcast, but there might have to come a point this year where Mikko Koivu is going to have, maybe even in camp, sit down with Bruce Boudreau, and Bruce is like, hey, you remember that time that you were on the power play for the most points in Wild history? Well, not anymore. I mean, you just look at, when I do the power play, I don't see how you could justify putting Mikko in the second unit, because you need a right shot guy, and that's sort of got to be Kunin. So your first unit, it's going to be, I would think, Parise, Stahl, Zuccarello, right, with Dumba and Suter on the points. But now your second unit's just fascinating, because you have, you have Zucker, you have Fiala, you have Donato. I mean, these guys have to be on the power play, right? But what about Jared Spurgeon? What about, Kunin? What about Greenway? What about Mikko? Well, how about this one? What about Brad Hunt? Like, Brad Hunt, when he was signed, Like that was not to be the 7th D. I mean, the thought is that he's actually going to play above Sealer. So if that's still the case, well, if Brad Hunt's in the lineup and he's on the power play, you might as well not play him. So like all of a sudden, like I look at Mikko and I'm like, if you put Mikko on the power play, now the slots move down. So Mikko's going to have to come in this year, and he gets back into town in 7 days from today. And 9 days from today, I hope to be in the tin shed with him, having lunch, and try to ask him these questions, because this is going to be a year. It's going to be his final year with the Wild, most likely, and he's going to have to probably be really mature here and understand the way this is going. So.
Fred says hi, by the way. He couldn't make it down tonight.
Yeah,
He says hello.
that's great.
We hope to see Fred again.
Yep.
Down here.
Good. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
I feel like there was one other kind of interesting thing that he said in that.
You think about
Victor
that while I
Rask.
thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com.
Yep.
John Hedges, our friend, has been sponsoring the program for a long time. They've opened up a new location, downtown St. Paul Skyway. It's walking distance from the X and from the Wild offices. That combines with the downtown Minneapolis Skyway location that you're familiar with, right above Crown Bank. Also, the big shop is out at the Mall of America, 3rd floor by Nordstrom's.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All 3 shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
Did it come to you yet?
Yeah, Victor Rask is just the other one. Again, if you're putting Cunnin at center, what it does is it's saying Mikko and Eriksson Ek are 3rd and 4th line centers. So where's Rask? Where's Nico Sturm? Well, Nico probably doesn't make the team, and Rask might have to either play wing on the 4th line, which I don't even know how that's humanly possible unless there's injuries, because I got to think you're playing Ryan Hartman and Foligno there. So Rask could have to be on the outside looking in, making $4 million a year for the next 3 years coming into camp. And if you put Cunnin on the right wing, Rask could play. Again, 4th line, not a position exactly to succeed. But now all of a sudden what that means is it's going to drop probably Greenway or Donato to the 4th line, or one of them might not even make the team. So it's not like the Wild are just overcoming with talent. But I'm just saying it's very interesting to me how again it seems like there was no plan. I mean, just stuff never aligned, never made sense. And a perfect example is like the second you signed Eric Stahl, it's just like it didn't dawn on the front office what that would do to the lineup, and it just, I don't know. There were so many alarming things. One thing I didn't write in my story that is just crazy alarming is that is that what I was told by multiple sources is that, so they have this bullpen where it's sort of like the war room in the front office. And on that war room is on the wall, or the magnet board or whatever, would be the depth charts for every team in the league with salary cap projections and things like that. It's free agent time. That thing was not updated since the end of the season. That seems strange, but then it doesn't seem strange when you realize that everybody that would have updated it was freaking fired. Everybody. So now it's like, unless it's on some secret book that Paul Fenton was running, it's like he's just flying blind on what the other teams look like. And the only reason why I bring this up, and I've been thinking about this the last couple of days because a lot of people have pointed this out to me, is Gusev is a great example where he didn't really become publicly available until July 2nd or 3rd. But if you had looked at Vegas's roster and really studied their depth chart and their salary cap implications, things like that, you'd know that he was available via trade. And so what happened is the second the Wild really signed not even Zuccarello but Ryan Hartman, it really meant that they couldn't afford, if you slot in that Fiala's going to make about 4 and that Eriksson Ek's going to make probably about 1.7, all of a sudden it says to you you can't afford Gusev at 4.5. So it took them out of the ability to make that type of trade, where it's like, again, if people in there were like, I was talking to a couple GMs and assistant GMs this week that say that they have kids, essentially like 20-something-year-olds that work inside organizations, that their entire job is they sit there and they put a report on the GM or the assistant GM's desk and say, hey, just so you know, this team's running up against a major problem with this, right here and here and here. And that's how, teams operate these days. And it just seemed like the Wild were like kind of circa 1990 or something.
That is amazing. I mean, when I covered
Sure.
Terry Ryan as a beat writer, I mean, if I walked in Terry's office, it would be every player in every organization in the big leagues and the minor leagues listed somewhere, and it was almost too much information.
Yeah.
But he would not leave the office if